Thunder broke the night open like a secret too long kept. Rain came after, slow and deliberate, washing dust from the hard face of the prairie. The storm had teeth, and yet beneath it, the world felt strangely still, as though even the wind waited for what would come next. He had not meant to stay awake. The cowboy sat by the dying fire, hat on the table, gun beside him, the sound of rain filling the spaces where memory used to live. He had seen war, famine, and the kind of loneliness that makes a man forget what mercy feels like. Out here, miles from town, silence was both his punishment and his salvation. Then came the knock. Soft. Once. Twice. Then again, harder, like a heartbeat running out of time. He opened the door, and there she stood, barefoot, soaked to the bone, a shadow carved from the storm itself. A young native woman, no older than 27, trembling but unbroken, her eyes sharp as flint and twice as bright. Her braid clung to her shoulder, darkened by rain. She looked like something sacred that had been chased through hell. She didn't wait for an invitation. She stepped inside, breath ragged, voice caught somewhere between fear and defiance. "They're coming," she whispered, words cracked by cold. "They'll take me before dawn if you don't." The fire hissed as the rain followed her in. For a long time, he said nothing. He simply watched her, this stranger who carried the weight of 100 years in her eyes. She didn't shiver from cold, but from fury barely caged. He handed her a blanket. She took it without thanks, but her hands trembled when she wrapped it around her shoulders. He noticed the cut on her wrist, the bruise along her jaw, fresh, unhidden. She noticed his eyes lingering and turned away. "Who?" he asked quietly. "Men who wear law-like armor," she replied. "They say I trespassed. They say my people stole from their fields." Her laugh was brittle. "It was our land long before they built fences." He looked away. He had heard that argument too many times, and every time it ended the same, someone buried under the soil both sides claimed. Still, something inside him shifted. Maybe it was the way her voice trembled when she said our. Maybe it was the memory of his own mother, taken by sickness while the lawmen guarded medicine for themselves. "You could hide here," he said finally. Her eyes snapped to his. "Hide? I've hidden my whole life. I came to ask for something else." He waited. "Take me before dawn," she said, voice steady now. "If I'm gone when they arrive, they'll say I ran. They won't chase me far. But if they find me here." She stopped. The words were too heavy to finish. He should have refused. Every instinct told him to stay clear, to keep the world's madness from crossing his threshold. He'd worked too hard for this silence. Yet when he looked at her again, he saw something he hadn't seen in years, hope wrapped in desperation. And it looked too human to turn away. He asked her name. She shook her head. "Names are for the living," she murmured. "If I live through tomorrow, you'll earn it." They sat in silence, the fire breathing low between them. The storm outside eased, but the air inside grew heavy, thick with questions neither dared ask. He poured her coffee. She didn't drink it. Instead, she stared into the flames as if she could see her past burning there, the tribes scattered, the songs lost, the children who never learned their mother tongue. He wanted to speak, to say something kind, but every word felt too small for the ruin sitting across from him. At last she said, "You don't strike me as a cruel man." "I've been worse," he replied. "Then maybe mercy's the only thing left to learn." He didn't answer. The clock ticked. The rain softened into mist. Somewhere far off, the sound of hooves broke through the quiet, faint but closing in. Her gaze flicked toward the door, then back to him. "It's them," she whispered. "You still have time to say no." He rose slowly, every motion deliberate, the way a man moves when standing at the edge of a decision that can't be undone. He walked to the window. 3 riders, dark shapes against the lightning, cut across the plain, heading straight for the cabin. When he turned back, she was already standing, blanket fallen, face lit by the weak glow of the fire. There was no fear in her anymore. Only a fierce, waiting calm. She said, Take me before dawn, or they'll take me away. And for the first time in years, the cowboy felt something like a heartbeat. Gunfire shattered the silence before the sun had even touched the hills. The first shot struck the wooden door and sent splinters across the cabin floor. The cowboy grabbed his coat and rifle in one motion, heart thundering louder than the storm that had passed. The woman didn't flinch. She stood near the dying fire, eyes dark and steady, as if she had been waiting for this moment her whole life. He moved to the window, caught a glimpse of shadows moving through the fog. 3 riders, maybe 4. The men she'd spoken of. The ones who'd sworn to drag her back, dead or breathing. Through the back, he said. Go now. She didn't move. You think running will save me? I think it might buy us time. Us? She whispered, the word like a test. He hesitated. He had said it without meaning to. Yet something inside him refused to take it back. Yes, he said quietly. Us. The pounding on the door came again, harder this time. A man's voice called out, rough and smug, promising mercy if she surrendered, punishment if she didn't. The cowboy's jaw clenched. He had once worn that tone himself in another life, back when he served the badge that made men cruel. He threw open a floorboard and pulled out a small leather pouch. Gold coins clinked faintly. Take it, he told her. It'll get you across the river. She shook her head. Money won't buy freedom. It'll buy distance. Her eyes softened, only for a moment. And what of you? The question hung between them like smoke. He didn't answer because he already knew. The door rattled again, hinges giving way. He pressed the pouch into her hand and pointed toward the back. Go. Don't look back. When the wood split open, the first man stepped in with a grin and a gun raised high. But the cowboy's bullet found him before his boots cleared the threshold. The other 2 scattered, shouting orders. Smoke filled the air, heavy and sharp. He ducked behind the table, fired twice more, then silence. When he turned, she was gone. The back door hung open, swinging on its hinges, the night beyond washed pale by the rising light. Relief and dread tangled in his chest. He prayed she'd followed his words, that she was already halfway to the river. He grabbed his horse, mounted bareback, and rode hard through the mist. The air stung his eyes. Behind him, the cabin burned, devoured by fire started by the men's torches. The smoke rose like a grave marker against the sky. He found her where the land began to slope toward the water. She was kneeling, clutching her arm, blood seeping between her fingers. He leapt down and tore a strip from his sleeve, tying it around the wound. She winced but didn't pull away. They hit you. Just a scrape. She forced a smile. You came back. I said I would. No, she said softly. You didn't. They stared at each other, breathless, raw. Then, from behind, came the echo of hooves again, distant but sure. The riders weren't done. She looked toward the river, wild and wide and fast. They'll find us. Not if we cross. It's too deep. He met her gaze, steady and fierce. Then we'll teach it to carry us. They pushed the horse into the current, water rising cold around their legs. The sound of pursuit grew louder. The current caught them, pulled hard. She clung to him, her hair whipping across his face, her voice breaking as she cried out his name, the first time he'd heard it. It was short, soft, and full of life. Halfway across, the horse stumbled. The current dragged them under. He fought the pull, gripping her wrist, the river roaring like the end of the world. For a moment, he thought they'd both vanish into the mud and memory. But somehow, breathless, he hauled her onto the far bank. They collapsed among the reeds, coughing, shaking, alive. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. You're safe. For now, she whispered. But you've lost everything. He looked back across the water. Smoke rose from his land, his past, the ashes of who he was. Not everything, he said. She smiled faintly, eyes closing. The morning light crept over her skin like forgiveness. He held her there until her breathing steadied. The world felt small again, quiet, possible. Then came the sound he feared most. Another horse, alone, crossing from the far side. He rose slowly, rifle in hand, heart steady. The figure on the opposite bank was familiar, one of the lawmen he once called brother. The man raised his gun but didn't fire. His voice carried clear across the river. "You can't save her, friend. The world won't let you." The cowboy stared back, shoulders squared, rein still clinging to his coat. His answer came low and even, like the calm before another storm. "Then I'll stop the world from trying."